Should let that.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. My sports chat after week 2, leading into week 3 for Michigan football. Michigan pounded Hawaii as the entire world knew we would. You have JJ, who was near perfect. One drop kept him from being perfect for the second week in a row. Tom, what do you think?
Well, JJ was spectacular. Obviously, Hawaii is not the greatest opponent, but they had an unbelievable game plan for him, and he executed about as flawlessly as he could. I watched a number of plays over and over again, watched his ability just to take a half a step fake and to get a lineman or a linebacker to move. And, you know, he only ran, was it twice? I can't remember how many times he ran.
I think only once.
Yeah.
No, compared to the other time, no.
Oh, he had one run for 16 yards. Yeah, he didn't run much, and he played the game so well. And you know, the team was so enthused around him, and I loved all of that. That was so good. And I do want to touch on Cade a little bit. As we were watching it, we noticed when he came in after the start of the second quarter, whenever it was, he looked spooked. He never looked downfield. When he did, he always pulled it back and dumped it. He couldn't even get a first down. And people were saying that the Michigan coaches didn't run the same plays for him, or the offensive lineman didn't do this or that. I totally disagree. When I watched those plays, they were running the same plays. He just wasn't able to move, get out of the pocket if there was pressure, and make a throw. So I feel bad. The kid's really a great kid. I'm glad he's still with the team. I hope he stays, and he is a captain. And everything I read this week says he's all in. So let's keep that as a real positive, because we also saw what happened to the Texas quarterback against Alabama the other day. Early.
Right.
You know, it's going to happen. Kids are going to get hurt. That's just the way it is. So I just think JJ handled himself as well as he could ever handle himself. He made some throws. What do you guys think of the throw at the end of the second quarter, right before half? Holy moly! It was spectacular.
I read one where the guy said, or the guy wrote, it wasn't the throw that he was worried about once he saw it. It was whether or not the receiver could get his hands up to his face to protect himself to catch it.
He just threw an absolute laser over the linebacker right into Cornelius's ribs.
Yep.
So good. Yeah.
Pat, what do you think?
Can he do that over and over and over again? Can he do it against better competition? I don't know. And something I want to throw on the table for everybody here is, I want you to tell me who in our lifetime at U of M, who is better than him, at least in our impression of him to start.
To start?
Well, you know, he's only started one game.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and you look at his stat line, his entire career, it's superb. But you know, he hasn't gotten to that Ohio State game yet, as an example.
Yeah, it's limited snaps for sure.
He reminds me a lot of Henson.
Yeah, that's the name I was going to throw.
You know, I mean, even with like the first year and stuff, like of you know, everybody wanting him to play and everything like that.
Yeah, the situation's very similar, right?
Yeah, you got a gun for an arm. You have some moxie back there, running ability.
Henson never had those wheels. Never had those.
Yeah, I agree, but you know, he had. He was more of a, if forced, he could pick up a first. Not a weapon. Like, let's weaponize it going around the end or something.
Yeah, I agree, Tom. I have a hard time thinking of a more, you know, obviously talent wise and just, you know, potential wise in JJ. I have a hard time, you know, looking back over, certainly over the last, you know, 10 years or so. Who would you say? Right? I don't think we've had. Well, he's a 5-star, right? We haven't had a 5-star quarterback, right? I mean,
and Ryan Mallett.
Penny and Mallett, Bowie.
But that was, how long ago was that? Right?
Well, that was a different era, you know.
Yeah. Definitely a different type of quarterback, right?
Yeah, you look at the comparisons. Obviously, under center quarterbacks compared to the gun nowadays, the RPOs, all that kind of stuff. But you look at what JJ does, you know, you almost look at athleticism, maybe like Shoelace or Demetrius through the, you know, he's a terrible left-hander, but as
Yeah.
far as athleticism goes,
E. Brown.
be able to run around back there. He's got that, but he's also got the arm of a Henny and a Mallet, you know, so you're looking at a package there that's a combination of guys, and 2BD is really, I think obviously these two games, I look back to last year and say, okay, he had a lot of potential last year. He's taking care of these two teams this year that, you know, he should take care of. He's had some highlight plays, no question about it, throwing the ball around, but I think, you know, once Maryland rolls around and the Big Ten season rolls around, we'll see.
We'll see.
But yeah, Cade's there. You're gonna need two guys, I think, in the end, especially the way Styles, the rush to the passer, and I just hope he holds up. You know, every time he runs out, it's like, oh boy, you know, hope I'm.
Mhm.
Yeah, but you watch the kid on Bills. The guy ran all over the place. I was kind of watching him last Thursday with the Buffalo Bills, and it's like he's bigger, stronger, but still, he's running around lowering the shoulder, and that's kind of like, you know, I look at him almost as a comparison guy as far as what Henny had, but that without the size, but the arm and the abilities.
Yeah, now we, like last week's episode, we kind of got into like the comparison stat wise. So let me just do it one last time. And you know, you had JJ 12 passes, one was dropped, otherwise he would have been 12 for 12. He averaged almost 20 yards per attempt. You had Cade with 4 of 6, which is slightly better than last week, but for 26 yards and a pick. So he's averaging, you know, what was that, 4.5 yards a throw versus almost 20.
Yeah,
That Pro Football Focus thing, that PFF
Yeah.
had, I think JJ was like, I don't know, 97 or something, and Davis Warren was like 96
Mhm.
or 94 or something like that, and Cade was like 1.8.
Mhm.
Now again, you know, I'm not, you know, that the analytics there, I'm not going to dive into, but as a stats guy, I already know there's some major problems with that stat. But I mean, still, it doesn't look good on a sheet. Sam, you were there. What, you know, what are your thoughts on Cade as he seems to be ready for a life on the bench?
Yeah, it's always one play away. So I don't think anybody could be looking at it as it's a life on the bench, because I think there's going to be a point in time, there's going to be a game where we're going to need him, where we're going to need a second guy. And, you know, Pat and I kind of talked about it when we were sitting down there together. You know, I mean, the situation wasn't great for Cade either when he came in. They were backed up a little bit, you know, so it wasn't, he didn't have the field position, but yeah, he didn't look good, did not look good. But, you know, we're going to need him. We are absolutely going to need him at some point. You guys all know it, right?
Yeah, there's
One
always a
play away.
point where, you know, even at best, like somebody's going to miss a series, you know, with a stinger or something
Yeah.
like that. But
Right,
then
and
you
to have and to have a guy that, like we said earlier, you know, he led us to a Big Ten title, and he's got the experience. He
yeah,
can manage a game, right? We know he can manage a game, right? Hopefully he maintains that, you know, that level of play. It didn't look like it on that pick for sure. It looked like he was trying to force something and trying to make that, you know, he didn't do that last year, right? And
Right.
that was his MO, right? He managed games, didn't make those kind of mistakes. So I hope it doesn't lead him to doing more than what he's physically capable of doing, and you know, trying to you know, put that out there and trying to put himself in situations where he can't make that play. You know, that's not gonna, that wouldn't help us, right?
I think you related most recently to the Alabama with Tua and Hurts and
Yeah.
their quarterback situation dilemma, and they both came back and ended up playing, and obviously end up one transferred eventually, but you know,
Yeah.
they both won that national title that year.
And
yeah,
that could happen, right? But you know,
uh,
not during the season, right? Hopefully.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, you hope it doesn't happen, because that means that something happens to JJ, you know,
Mhm.
but it's nice to have in the back
Oh.
pocket.
Absolutely.
well, and we saw the backup quarterback from Texas. You know, he did not play badly.
No,
No, I mean, they were in that game, right?
no, he didn't have the arm strength and like
Right.
the deep talent.
So,
But
you
they're
make that
both
same
5
comparison,
stars.
right?
Both of
Yeah.
those guys are 5 stars.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
people forget that. They think of Quinn Ewers but the other dude, I mean, he's a 5-star too. Hudson
Mhm.
Card, I think.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you know, just because didn't get the $1 million to go to Ohio State, you know,
Yeah.
you think he's like some crappy guy. So
Michigan's
All right.
got that 5-star sitting there watching on last Saturday
yeah,
night.
he was there, yeah.
Coming in again, so there's always gonna be, question marks. I mean, Kay's gonna
Yeah.
have to hold on to the job when he comes in, so. It's just all
Yeah.
the stuff, and I was impressed with Warren, even though it's, against backups, run-ups, whatever. I mean, he was in there. I thought the kid did. I was impressed with him with spring ball.
Mhm.
Yeah, spring
Well,
ball.
here's the
he played
thing,
really well, so.
if you can do it, and even like Tom said, you know, he was out there, he's hitting every throw and all this different stuff. And Tom, you know, threw the caveat out there, which is important one about the importance of the bad opponent. But even, even Harbaugh was talking about JJ, and he didn't say it exactly like this, but basically he said that it's hard to do that at what he did against air. He
Sure.
said it again, like in practice.
Yeah.
But you can tell he meant like not against his defense, but against like you're just warming up. It's hard to be that accurate.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So let's go back to when Cade came in the game. Was he playing against the first string defense? And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
quarterback before him had gone 3 series, 3 touchdowns.
Mhm.
And we were counting the plays, and we were betting with Mike Bottelman. It's like, all right, how many plays this time? Well, 3 or 4, and it's like next thing you know, they're in the end zone. And he was extremely aggressive in getting the ball downfield. Cade could have done that when he was in the game. He just doesn't do it.
Right. There were
Yeah,
13
spoke of that before
drives.
the game.
Michigan had
Yeah.
13 offensive drives, 8 touchdowns. So 5 did not go for a touchdown, 5 drives. 4 of them were Cade's.
4 more
Mhm.
Cades and one was JJ.
All right.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even a quarterback controversy anymore
No.
or quarterback competition. It's JJ's with Cade, again, I'm not saying he's going to ride pine for the rest of his life, but he's going to be the backup.
Yeah.
And again, he did a great job. He does not deserve booing. I didn't know about that until Monday. Like when you guys heard that at the game,
Oh,
I mean, where's it coming from?
it was all over the stadium.
God,
The
there's that many
unfan.
idiots.
The unfan that has no idea.
Yeah. I mean, we heard the guy behind Pat and I already just wouldn't let up.
Unbelievable, man. He got ruthless, man. Like, dude,
That's-
gee.
That's crazy. Anyway, he doesn't deserve that.
No,
Oh, he doesn't. No.
no.
And Michigan fans watching this, if you booed, you look at yourself in the damn mirror.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. You clearly have never played sports in your life. And maybe, just maybe, you're putting a little too much emphasis on what a 21-year-old, how a 21-year-old performs in front of 100,000 people while you're watching them. Maybe that has a little too much influence on the enjoyment in your life.
Well, and think about this as we go through this season. If JJ struggles at any time, and you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it will.
The Maryland game, the state game, it doesn't matter who it is.
If he has a bad half, it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Okay.
the tide's gonna turn, you know.
Always.
No,
always.
if
Well,
he
it's always
puts-
the other guy, right? It's always the other.
yeah.
Yeah,
If he
always
puts
bad.
one on the ground and throws a pick in the same half,
Yeah,
suddenly Cade is the greatest quarterback in the world.
yeah.
He did that against,
So-
he made a bad mistake that cost us in that game.
If he goes to Iowa or he goes to Indiana and he has a bad half, man, oh man, everyone's gonna be, sitting there at the concession stand going, oh my gosh, man, get him out of there. He can't handle this. It's too big.
No, and the thing is, it'll happen.
Will.
Like Sam said, I mean, we can go back through and whip out a bunch of these. You have Bellamy, just totally not able to do anything quarterbacking when Shoelace's, Denard's elbow gets a stinger and can't play. Okay, you have John O'Corn, for F's sake, saying that,
Got some
you know,
names.
saving us against Purdue when he goes in there,
Yeah,
when
right.
Spate gets,
Mhm.
folded over like a
Concussed,
taco.
yeah. Mhm.
I got one, Chris Zerbrug.
Zerbrug.
Yeah, Zerbrug. Exactly. No, you got
Uh,
Zerbrug when Harbaugh breaks his arm against State in '84.
Right.
Rich Hewlett against Ohio
Steven-
State back
Rich
in the
Hewlett.
Stephen Threet, starting
So,
quarterback
yeah.
under Utah.
Steven Three.
Oh,
No, and that's the thing. I mean, so there's plenty
wasn't
of,
he-
there's plenty of times. I mean, hell, you have Denard going in for Forcier
Yeah,
at Iowa
yeah.
Tate Forcier. Oh,
and not being able to do much.
Right.
And, it's going to happen. I mean, it's
Yep.
going to happen. I mean, God, and the person
I hope
behind
not,
you,
but it's going to.
the person who's behind you, who's, booing. I mean, God, I just want to bitch slap that guy. And every one of those people.
Well,
Because
Pat did.
all right,
But-
you honestly think that Cade just wants to like not play well? And who knows, maybe in a backup role that he'll like come in there, he'll come in loose and he'll go.
Well, I remember the call after the first week and how hot I was about Cade's post-game press conference.
Yeah,
And
Yep.
you know, he's still a young man also. And there were a lot of comments made by guys like Doug Karsh that said maybe the media should have held off and he should not have been part of the post game that day because he's going to let his emotions show. And if he had a day to think about it, he probably wouldn't have said the same words.
right.
Right.
But my real problem was you come out in a game against Hawaii that is terrible, and just because you're not starting, you can't perform. That was bad.
Yeah.
That was really bad. So I hope he
Yeah.
comes out of it. I think it's more mental than anything. I hope he comes out of it.
I mean, I'll say is
Yeah,
in
I
the last
could
2
have predicted.
years,
I could have predicted Saturday's outcome for Cade, that he
Yeah.
would have came in there and stunk up the place.
Yep.
You know, and then he goes out there. He's with the second team offensive line. You know, he just could have said it. He's going to go in there, and it's going to be a no-win
Second
situation
quarter
for him.
was all
No-win
second team
situation.
offensive linemen.
So, yeah,
they when they put JJ back in
Yeah.
for that final drive of the first half.
I wondered about that because there was 2 minutes to go. I go, who's going to do the 2-minute drill today?
Yeah, right.
I think I said it to Sam, and I
Mhm.
said, man, maybe Cade's got a chance to do a 2-minute drill. And sure enough, JJ went
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy, this isn't even a competition anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so-
all right, so we're gonna do this.
Offensive line, there were 3 backups on that offensive line on that drive. El Hadi was in. He did not have starters per se on that offensive line. And
Right.
who was the running back that was on in there?
CJ Stokes.
Might have been Stokes. I think it was Stokes.
He did not have, the typical guys. Now he probably had All and whoever, Schoonmaker, whoever's his tight ends, but they rotated bodies from the first series. And they had guys, so many defensive players, so many offensive players got in. It's hard to say that, he had the first stringers with him as he went down the field with 2 minutes to go.
Right. Yeah, so UConn, it's gonna be the same thing. It's a 47 point
Yep.
Mhm.
Spread. 49 over. They're predicting 53-6. I find that pretty interesting. That's professional bettors going, you know what, 53-6. So that's fun. That said, U of M did not cover against Hawaii. You can dominate a team that bad and not cover. So anyway, we're not going to do predictions. We know it's clubbing baby seal time. What do you guys want to see out of the game? We're assuming we're going to win, and we're assuming big. What do you want to see? Personally, no, I won't even go. Tom, what do you want to see?
I agree with Sam. Consistency. I don't think we're going to see a lot of 3-play drives. I think we're going to see some other things. I think you'll see some more controlled offense. If the opportunities are there, JJ, he's going to take them. But UConn's got a very good coach, and he might think, you know what, I'm not going to let him beat me deep. I'll let him run me to death and end up being a lot lower. I think we're going to see that type of play. I just want to see consistency. A little bothered by the offensive line having some leaks in it last week. You know, and again, that hurts Cade because he doesn't move very well, where JJ can move and get around and out of the pocket and go. I just want to see consistency. I want to see them come out. I wouldn't mind seeing a 12-play drive where they just move it down the field just meticulously and pound it in the end zone and do that 3 times in the first half. I would be really happy with that. And play good D, obviously.
Right.
But if you've got that kind of offense going, they're not even on the field, so it won't matter.
All right, Pat, what do you want to see?
Yeah, you know, obviously you'd love to see the you know, development and everything like that, but I'm seeing more like a 38-10 game. I think I don't think we're gonna get all crazy on it. Mora is a good coach, like Tom said. I just think that they're gonna be a little bit more methodical. I don't think you'll see too many guys out there. It's third preseason game for me in my mind. I think everything will start the following week at Maryland, and you know, I just think that you know, I bet you we'll see the same rotation guys, and we're going to see a lot of subs in there in second half. And I think I found a score is like 38-10. I don't think we're going to get the 56 to whatever again. I think there'll be a little bit more
56-3? No.
Yeah.
53-6.
3-6. Yeah, I think it's going to be.
Vegas.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it'll be as.
Well, what do you want to see?
Yeah, I just want to see them execute, just like you guys said. I think execution's big. Keep making sure they're in tow and make sure they keep, get them ready for Maryland. The worst thing I could see happening is these 3 games killing us against Maryland, because we're going to go out there against Maryland and play a terrible first half because we played against 3 pathetic teams. And I hope that doesn't come back to bite us. But I think that's what the biggest fear I think for the coaching staff right now is getting through this game healthy, getting through it, and keeping them focused enough that they're not going to walk into Maryland and be blah.
What I want to see is
They won't show much. I don't think they're going to show much either to Maryland either. I don't think they'll show much.
I want to see JJ start developing that bond with one receiver. And what I mean by that is like the go-to guy when it's 3rd and 7, we know we can go there. When it's 4th and 3, he knows exactly where that one guy is going to be, like Devin Gardner and Jeremy Gallen, or I think it was Spate and Jake Butt. How many times did he know exactly where to put it, exactly where to go on that guy, and we could get 3rd and 3 anytime we want it.
Wangler to Carter.
Yeah, well, it could be Tom to Carter also. Anybody at all in the early 80s to Carter. I mean, I would have been a mediocre pig den quarterback at that point if I have Carter there. But Sam, what do you want to see?
I don't know. It's like I was saying earlier. I think I want to see the consistency, the focus. We haven't sleptwalked through any of these 2 games so far, and I don't want to see that. We haven't seen the mistakes. We haven't seen penalties. It's been very clean, and I think the execution has been very good. And regardless of the competition, how many times, how many seasons in the past have we seen some of these games where they should have won 56-3, but it ends up being 27-14 because they got penalties. They just seem out of sync, and I don't know. They just have to be focused. They got to be businesslike. They got to treat every one of these games like, and get out of it what the coaching staff needs to get out of it. Right, is execution and getting ready, and doing that means you don't make those mistakes and you play sharp, and all that's what I want to see. Keep doing those things well. Right.
I heard an interview a couple years ago with Lou Holtz, and he said, and obviously Lou is famous for, building up opponents.
Yeah.
Like they're playing Navy and they're talking about like he doesn't know how they can beat them, that type of stuff, and how good they are at every level and on all 3 aspects of the game and that crap. But he said privately he would go and he would challenge the team, and he'd say, "We're gonna kick the crap out of this team." Yeah. They go, let's hang 50 on them. Let's beat it. Let's beat these guys by 50. Yeah. That's your goal. Do not let up until the game is over and we are 50 points higher than them.
And to do that is when the competition isn't there, it's tough. I mean, it requires those guys to really buy into that and be focused and do things. I was just going to say the same thing, similar thing, right? Right? They know, but they have to have that. You can't control who you play. You can control your effort. You can control your focus. You control the things that you can control, right? I mean,
If you're playing 80 guys and you're playing them in the first half, just a ton, you're getting everybody in the game early, and you're building on a lead. These young guys, there's got a lot of sophomore and freshmen that have played in the last 2 weeks,
mhm,
and they're pushing the other guys. So if you're the starter at linebacker and you've got 2 guys behind you that are in there playing and they're just kicking the tail out of everybody, you better do it, or you're going to end up not starting in game 3 or game 4, because he's going to play them. And this is exactly the same thing that happened with the quarterback situation. That's what he'll do. That's one of the things I like about Harbaugh. He'll do that.
yeah, because in film review, film don't lie, right?
Film don't lie.
It's obvious, right?
There's a lot of guys on film.
Yeah. Yeah. But there's one thing we haven't talked about. We probably should throw this out there, is our 1A running back versus our number 1 running back. Our number 1A running back is hurt. They're not talking about it. They're not saying anything.
Yeah, been very quiet.
Watched it close all week long. There's no verbiage out there at all, but he wasn't even on the sideline for the second half of the game. And if you remember the play where he caught the pass, landed on his back, got up, and he was heading to the bench, and JJ was doing this and got him to come back over and went to him. And he probably said, "Hey, we're giving you the ball for the touchdown." And he did not run into that line. He kind of fell into it, and then everybody pushed him, and he ended up in the end zone. And, that was it. He was out of the game after that. So I'm hoping he's not hurt. And if he's hurt, it's a minor thing. And, that gives Stokes more of a chance to play, and Stokes is playing well. But it's another example of you got a guy who's so good, you just hope he doesn't go down, because you have to have someone to take his spot. So,
Yeah.
Right. Okay. No, it's a good point. All right, going forward, we know we're going to curb stomp UConn. The next week is Maryland. Maryland's looking pretty good. I mean, they got off to a slightly slow start in their first game, and then they crushed somebody last week. They're 2-0. This week they get to play SMU.
yeah.
All right, SMU's 2-0.
Is it
And
at
have curb stomped 2
Maryland, or
teams.
is it on the road? I didn't look that.
I'm
It's
not
at
sure.
it's at Maryland.
That Maryland, okay.
And Maryland's only a 3-point favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that should be a pretty good game.
Well,
So that's something to watch.
we got to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
something to watch for. It's a night game
Hmm.
on Saturday, and that's going to be our first real opponent. So
Yeah.
that's going to be an interesting game. You have MSU playing at Washington. A very similar situation. Washington trying to look a little bit better than last year. And
Line, Griff.
pardon me.
What's the line?
I don't know on that one.
I think Washington's favored in that game, aren't they?
Are they? Yeah.
I believe so. I mean, it's not it's tight, but I think they are. I thought I saw that they were favored.
All right, let me see what I can't pull up.
Michigan
Yeah,
State
Washington 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5. I was going to say
Wow.
3,
is
but yeah,
next 11th, and Washington is not ranked. So
right.
Yeah, that's okay. So here's the thing. That means you guys know how state gets their panties in a bunch anytime they're disrespected. I think they invented that word because that word wasn't around in the early 80s. But so they're going to do that disrespect thing, which, by the way, is very strong with their boy from who's the coach for Pitt?
Narduzzi.
Yeah,
Narduzzi.
Narduzzi. Dude, he's the exact same way. It's pretty crazy. But
Who's the quarterback
Pitt,
for
whatever, but they're one trick ponies and how they get motivated. And
Who's
it
the
works
quarterback
because
for?
they give Michigan a game every year, winning often, too often lately.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, anybody, that's pretty much all I had. You guys have anything that you want to add that we didn't cover?
No,
Hmm.
I think I'm in conclusion, I'm just hoping that we have another easy win and nobody gets hurt. Everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely good.
No, and that's a good point.
You know, score 35 points, and hold the other team under 15, keeping the 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Not going to complain. Not
Yeah.
Mhm.
play a little more conservative game plan in this one, and then just be ready to just unleash the hounds. And
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. We didn't talk about on defense, but I think the defense played well again and showed a lot of different things that we hadn't seen. So
A lot of
I'm
guys.
excited to watch those guys. I mean, they had held them to under 100 yards, late in the game before they
Mhm.
got a few
I
yards.
was
Oh.
my one stunner of the game defense was Sanders still. He shook off a blocker and then made a great tackle for like no law or no gain.
Boy, yeah, he's
And,
found a
and I'm
spot
like-
there, man.
I'm like, dude, that was a wide receiver last year.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He's found a spot there for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
great. I mean, because normally when a guy
They tried
switches
that.
sides and it plays immediately, unless
Right.
he's like a Woodson, that
Mhm.
means you have a hole,
Yeah,
and I don't think we have a hole there.
I agree.
And
No,
I mean, if he can make that play, we're stupid for keeping him on the
Yeah.
offensive side of the ball.
well,
I mean, if he can do that, put him out there.
he's really tough, and he was really tough on offense. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
loved his
Agreed.
tenacious blocking. He was always just a horse out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
if you notice, the one thing, the biggest difference I've seen in the last 2 years with the teams he's had is the speed on the defense. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Backers, the corners,
It's across the board, like
Yeah.
you said.
support.
Yeah,
I said that to Sam moving down low to watch it, Tom.
Yes.
Yeah, you're down low a few more than where we are
I'm right where
normally.
you guys, right behind you, probably
So-
2 rows behind you and on the aisle on the other side.
Yeah,
That's-
so I mean,
Yep.
I got down there with Sam and I watched that first series. I thought, wow, they move a lot quicker down here, closer to the stadium,
yeah.
closer to the floor. That first couple of series, I was just like, wow, man, we really fly, and I don't know if that's new or if that's something because this guy came down 60 rows or whatever, but I don't know. Sam sits there all the time. so
Probably
he's-
both.
Yeah, it was just like,
No, I was
wow.
watching Hard Knocks and it was the same thing, like, because they have like the cameras, like,
right
at,
there. Yeah.
yeah, right at like the tight end, basically. And
Mhm.
you see him, I'm like, holy crap. I mean, and you forget, well, you don't forget, but you got to apply these guys are monsters too, and they're
Oh my
moving
God.
that fast.
Mhm.
Moving that fast at that
So-
speed. It did leave me kind of like, wow, walking out of there. Saturday.
Yeah, all the more reason when they're that big and they're that fast.
Yeah.
And
That's
what
like,
Tom
yeah.
said, and again, when we went, what we want to see in this game, there was execution, there was, establishing a bond with the receiver. There's, focus, not letting up. Tom might have said the best one. Squeeze it in at the end. Let's get through it without any injuries.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's not
It's
have-
essentially a preseason
Yeah.
game.
I
You
know
know?
we're deep in the receiver core, but we don't have any receiver that is anywhere near as fast as Roman Wilson. He
Right.
is so quick, it's staggering.
Yeah,
How do you not double cover the kid? Oh, I know why, because you have Cornelius Johnson on the other side.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
No.
got Ronnie Bell.
And Ronnie
Ronnie
Bell on the
Bell.
other.
No, and then you got 2 tight ends that are, and
Two tight ends,
Eric
yeah.
Hall can fly. Again, the speed on this team is so different.
Yeah.
I still don't think it's quite where Ohio State was last year in the Michigan-Ohio State game. That speed with those receivers was kind of staggering
Mhm.
at their quarterback. But, it is really, really, really quick. And now we have a quarterback that's quick. So,
Yeah, that first touchdown, I think it was the first one.
Yeah,
with
the
Roman
one to
Wilson.
Mhm. That was
I mean, the
first
guy
one.
was playing, he was lined up in the inside. He just did a post and safety man-on-man coverage. The guy was 10 yards off of him
Mhm.
and he was already like 5 yards by him when the guy had moved back like 2 yards. And then JJ, even with that, that's exactly what you do. You don't overthrow him. You underthrow him to make sure you
Yeah.
get the completion.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And
What
he
he did.
barely underthrew him
Right.
and
Mhm.
still goes in untouched. So
Mhm.
that's just awesome football everywhere,
Yeah.
between those two guys.
Jake Butt commented on this in when I watched the game later. The pass he threw to Cornelius didn't go for a touchdown, but he thought it was a bomb, got him way down the field.
Right.
That ball was in the air. for 55 yards and hit him in stride.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
extremely impressive.
No, and he wasn't wide open.
And he was not wide
No.
open.
Mm-mm.
And he didn't throw it too far to the wide side of the field, but he threw it inside the hash so the receiver could come across and get it, and the safety
Right.
still couldn't get it.
Couldn't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jake Butt went through the whole thing. It was great. His
Yeah.
analysis of the throws, and he was talking a lot about how just the little nuances by JJ to get a linebacker to move. It was amazing, and I kept watching it, and I went back and watched the game, and I'm watching it going, it's something we don't see because we're just not into it now. Sam probably is with your coaching. You see it more, but from a fan perspective, you don't see it. It's like, how did that guy get so open? Why did that safety not come over? Well, that's because the quarterback looked over here for a 10th of a second.
Looked them off,
Right.
yeah.
Hey,
Very
if
good.
every one of these that we do starts with us drooling all over JJ and then ends with us drooling all over JJ, that it's going to be a great season.
Yeah.
So I hope that's what it is.
Yeah.
But again, everyone, thank you for coming on. Everybody else watching, I appreciate you watching. This is my sports chat. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Blue.